at stake, guys, when the Saints head to Chicago to take on the Bears in Week 8, Triggs?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Monday morning and the Chicago newspapers, Chicago sports radio, and how it felt Tuesday morning this week when it felt like the team had lost by 100 points and the season was already over because of the communication issues between Nick Foles and Matt Nagy and the ineptitude of that offense. Matt Nagy is an offensive head coach. That's what is so frustrating for so many Bears fans. This guy was hired for offensive wizardry, and he was supposed to be an Andy Reid disciple, and we're going to bring all and this might be the worst offense in the league on certain plays and certain drives and certain full entire games. Monday night on a national audience was as bad as it gets for this Bears offense, and for me, what's at stake? You can't have a terrible offensive week this week. You just can't, because then that's all you're going to be dealing with next week. I'm so interested in seeing the focus. Nagy's quotes right there in the Stacey Dales report, fascinating. Like, having to talk himself up, it feels like, almost talking the entire team up. Like, we're 5-2. We're 5-2. You would never imagine Belichick, as you're addressed as Belichick today, or maybe some of these other coaches being like, hey, everybody, it's not so bad. We're 5-2. We're doing good. Like, it's a very different vibe, 5-2, than other teams, and it almost feels like they're apologizing for being 5-2. This offense cannot have an anemic effort again, or the questions are going to mount, and it's going to be in another week of answering questions from reporters and it not being pleasant for that building.
Yeah, and like you said, the biggest question is, with Nagy, where's the ingenuity? Like, where is it? Let's find that. Let's GPS that. Another question I have, where is Michael Thomas? That's the biggest question for me, because him being undoubtedly the best receiver when he's on his game and you not being around, the team still holding it down. What was going on with the ankle injury? What was going on with the fight at practice? Are you going to come back, catch a rhythm? Or are you going to need to catch up? At this point in the season, teams are becoming who they're going to be in the postseason. So if he comes back and he doesn't have a rhythm, is that going to stifle this squad? We know that Drew Brees is going to throw it with the best of them. But like I said before, and this is a compliment to Michael Thomas, if he's not in this lineup playing at the top of his game, this team does not make a Super Bowl run. I don't care how good Drew Brees is. I don't care how good the complementary players are. He is just that damn good. So I want to see, one, if he plays, because I heard he did practice this week, what's it going to be like when he's back on the field? Are they going to take off and all of a sudden everybody that was criticizing this team is like, okay, they're back? Or is it going to be one of those things where he just can't find his rhythm with the
Does he have something to prove to you? To fans?
No. He's the best receiver in the game. He's always in the conversation. Him, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones. The question is, what is he going to look like when he's back on the field? Is he going to pick up where he left off, or is it going to take some getting used to him being back?
I don't know. We'll see. Like, to your point, the Saints don't care if they're 10-2, 14, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to win a Super Bowl. They're one of maybe a handful, half dozen teams that that's the expectation. And also, Matt Nagy is scrapping to become one of the best coaches in the league. Like, we're seeing why Sean Payton has been there for years. Like, you lose this guy who had about 400 catches last year. Like, whatever, fine, when he comes back, we'll just keep winning. Matt Nagy has huge stakes. And what Peter's getting at is you cannot get him down. He is an unbelievably positive head coach, positive person. He believes in it. If they were 0-7, he'd still be having positivity. So for him now, that's fine. I respect the 5-2 take. You are 5-2, and we say too many times all that matters is wins and losses. However, Monday morning, as Peter's saying, if they lose again and they don't put up a few touchdowns, like, what's at stake? His complete reputation with Chicago, the quarterback position for the Bears. Now it's bench Nick Foles, not only whispers of Trubisky, screams for them, give up play calling immediately. Like, the world is falling at this point. And this is a guy who was the coach of the year about 20 minutes ago. So he is resoundingly positive, which I respect. And they are 5-2. But if you go 5-3 and your defense scores more points than your offense, like last week, he knows what time it is. It is DEFCON 1. I don't care if you're 5-3 or 13-3. The team looks terrible right now, and he's got to fix it. This is like, it's not a playoff game, but it's like you have to. I feel like it's the biggest Matt Nagy game of his generation in a sense, because you got to show something. You're an offensive guy. Let's cook, man.
They have everything to risk. They're going to lose their place on our full screen, right? They lose to the Saints. They go to that and potentially go to that in the hunt column. And their win, I mean, they've beaten one winning team. They've beaten, like, it's not great, right? So let me ask you, are you going to be crying for Trubisky if Nick Foles looks as lifeless as he has the past couple of weeks?
I feel like no, and I'll tell you why. I don't think Trubisky would be better or worse. I don't think it will make a difference. And you know, a lot of times the stats bear out how Trubisky played early on, and they said, well, he played better. The problem is with Trubisky, so much of what he did bad doesn't show up in stats because it's receivers he missed and it's big plays that were there that he overthrew.
Yep.
So I think if you then now rip Nick Foles out, you're not getting a better player, and you're flipping the table on the locker room, on the huddle, and for what's the win? I just don't think Mr. Trubisky comes in and is like, wow, we made a huge mistake.
I think about the other teams in the league, though. Like, look at a Bengals fan or a Jets fan. Is this 1% problems? Like, we're 5-2. What?
Not when you have the Lions, who he's talking about looking as good.
If you're a Lions fan, though, you're still behind them and you haven't been to the playoffs, and you're like, are Bears fans being spoiled right now?
You say the same. They lose this weekend. We're 5-3. What do you want from us? So when does it stop? When they're 5-6?
But if you're a fan of one of these teams that is struggling, are you rolling your eyes saying, "Bears, get over yourselves. You're 5-2. That you just enjoy." That's where I'm at with this. And
the Vikings would love to be 5-2.
The Vikings would love to be. I think that the Lions would love to be 5-2.
But to your point, it's what Nagy is saying. I'm not walking around this building like we haven't won a game. And your team is a reflection of your coach. If the coach is walking around saying, "Oh, there's so many little things that we have to fix," your team is going to notice that, and they'll step on the field like that. He's like, "Look, chin up." If somebody said, "Hey, Chicago Bears, at this point in the season, you guys will be 5-2."
Sign me up.
Of course.
Sign me up.
But the question is, they got to start figuring out who they are.
Yeah.
If they're a mistake-driven team that scrapes out wins, you're going to be bounced out of the playoffs as soon as you get in.
Do you think it's going to be close?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
I do.
Do you think it's
Every Saints game has been close this year.
I honestly do. In fact, it's a good study. We watched them last year. Saints came into Soldier Field last year. It wasn't close at all. It was actually like the low point of the Trubisky era. I think with all the chips in on the defense especially, and Thomas iffy, I'm not sure. I think it will be close.
Love it.